Okay. All right, everyone. Welcome to WoW. We are back, and today we're going to talk about choose. So first of all, we are going to do like a little exercise to bring this group into coherence. And so if you don't have your camera on and you know how, please go ahead and turn it on because this is an energy exchange. And this community, as you know, is very, very special. And so we love to connect with you, and that is all about the frequency that we share together. And this call is going to be interactive, it's going to be fun, and you're going to have something to take away so that you can have some work that you're going to do about yourself. And today I'm going to get really vulnerable and share the work I've done with myself since being with QHS. Okay. So welcome everybody. Let's go ahead and do a little exercise, okay? So go ahead and take a deep breath in, 2, 3, 4, and just fill your belly with breath. So we're going to inhale love, joy, peace, health, happiness, prosperity, and exhale and release any stress, doubt, worry, fear, anger, and frustration. And go ahead and take one more. Inhale, love, joy, peace, health, happiness, prosperity. And then go ahead and rub your hands together, okay? And bring in that frequency to yourself, pulling it apart like taffy, and then bringing it into your heart space so that everything that we talk about today settles right here into your heart and into your spirit. Okay. So today we're going to talk about choose. Last week we dived deep into check, and most of it was you guys sharing, which was so joyful. It was beautiful to hear your voices. And I know that it was a long time that we were apart from each other. And so that was just like a re-engaging in this community, and it felt so special. So I hope you enjoyed the time together. But the next step in this process is about choosing. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint so you have a visual. You know, we're all different types of learners, right? Some of us are visual learners and some of us are auditory. And so that's why I like to have a visual for those visual learners. Okay. So we are creators of our own reality. And every moment that we have in a given day is a choice point. So it all starts with that check-in, you know, and we do that several times a day so that we can aim our ship. You know, earlier today I said to Cynthia, you're a captain of this amazing ship and you're doing such a great job navigating us to where we're going, and we are here. And so when we do that check-in, then there's always a choice to make. And the goal here is to choose from a place of future vision. Like, what are you wanting to create in your life? And for those of you who have followed the hug calls or the hug videos, you know that my favorite thing is to create this vision of what you want to see for yourself. And more importantly, why? Because the why is your anchor point, and it is why you stick to the commitments that you make for yourself. And then deciding how you want to show up. And it's not just today, but it's about every moment, every interaction, every engagement, every time you walk into a room. Alex said on one of his webinars recently, when you walk into a room of people, to determine and decide that you are going to make that experience better in some way. And it's all about us being a creator and making these small, empowered choices that lead to massive quantum shifts. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey, and this is that point of vulnerability. So before QHS, I've always been athletic. That's just me. I just love exercising. I can be tired and I can go to a hot yoga class at night after work and it energizes me. It makes me feel good, but that's just me. But as far as nutrition, I didn't start studying about nutrition until 2007. And I learned a lot. but I still had these habits that I just couldn't kick. And one of them was sugar. And I was like really good avoiding sugar for quite a while. Like I would go, weeks or months or whatever, not having sugar. But I was like this crackhead when it came to, no joke, my mother-in-law's baking and or like C's candy or like Halloween candy. And it's like if I opened the bag and had a little bit, it was like I just wanted more and more and more. And it was awful. It was like I would just binge on this sugar. And so it was about a year ago when I was like finally checking in with myself and going, how can I get better? Whoops, Kelly, can you mute people, please? And it was all about how can I feel better? I'm in this company, it's a quantum company, it's all about healing. And it starts here. The buck stops here with each of us. And so, my journey about a year ago, I finally decided what challenge do I have right now? And what do I want to work on for me? And so, I decided, well, with that checkup from the neck up, you've really got to get rid of sugar out of your diet. And I had inflammation and it was bad. I couldn't take off my wedding ring. I was so inflamed. And so finally I thought, well, my biggest challenge right now is when I start eating sugar, I just can't stop. And so fast forward to now, it's been about a year and I have been able to do this because I'm the creator and God gave me the authority to create my reality. And so what I decided is that I chose, and nobody made this choice for me. I did this myself, but I chose that I'm done with sugar. I just don't want to eat it anymore. And once I made that commitment and I realized how much better I felt, went from compliance to a rule that I made to a commitment to, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I'm going to stick with this. Okay. So within this last year, I chose to ditch sugar. I chose to walk daily, and that is my moving meditation. I go out to this park, this nature park, where I ground, center, and I walk daily. And the other thing I chose is to really limit alcohol because I live in wine country. And we literally have vineyards on the right and vineyards on the left, a winery that's adjacent to our property. And that is the lifestyle in this area. And so for me personally, I chose to, I haven't had any alcohol, any wine or nothing, not even a sip for 73 days, but who's counting? So that was me. And it was so much easier than I thought it would be thanks to the QT Wave. Now, when I say that, I mean this device, I mean the touch, I mean the QT Wave is the deliverable. It is the frequency, whether you get it from the touch, which I believe is more powerful because I feel like my choices have been easier to follow. And so this is what I chose to do. And then Kelly, oh, wait, let me go back to this quote. When I was coaching women, I only worked with women, but one of the things that we would talk about is don't give up what you want most for what you want now. And so for me, that would equate to if there was leftover dessert, because my mother-in-law, who comes over here frequently for dinner, she always brings dessert. And I would want most to avoid it. But now at that moment, I just like wanted to take all the icing off her cake, because I can't do gluten because it makes me very sick. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it was don't give up what you want most, which is to be healthy and have no inflammation, to what I wanted now. And so I always focused on that future vision, on my why. And another thing that's really strong in the anchor point for me was my dad had cancer 5 times and my mom has Alzheimer's. So when all this went down in like between 2010 and 2015, when I realized this, I learned that, Alzheimer's essentially is type 3 diabetes, where the brain receptors or the glucose receptors in your brain shut down. And then my dad, I knew that cancer was fed by sugar. So those became my anchor points when I finally decided why I chose to ditch it completely. And then Kelly went a completely different direction, and I'll let her share that with you.
So for me, Tracee and I talked a lot about this call before we got here today. And initially she called me and she's like, oh, why don't we both list a few things that we've been doing? And initially I was like, I haven't done anything. Like I haven't changed anything, right? I was really thinking about it and initially I couldn't come up with something that I had done. And I'm like, I must have done something, right? Like we're always like learning and growing and changing, right? So I had to really think about it. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I have done some stuff, right? And it took me about a week to really like pull it out. So I was like, okay, well, one of the things I did was I chose to groom my dogs more frequently. So I have two Cavalier King Charles Spaniels that were rescued from breeding, puppy mills. And one of them, neither one was great, really very socially inclined, even with humans. But the other one was truly traumatized, and she's terrified of human touch. And we've had her now over 6 months, and it's still a struggle, even with us, even though I'm the main groomer, the main feeder. But I noticed they were getting a lot of mats in their hair, right? And I had been putting off like going over and taking care of that because I didn't want to further her trauma, right? And initiate her PTSD symptoms. But, when thinking about this, I was like, well, if we're talking about quantum healing and things like that, then healing begins from the moment that you choose from your future self and not your past story, right? So I was living in the idea that if I went near her to groom her, that she would have these, situations and she would have a problem with it instead of giving her the room to grow as well, right? So I made that conscious decision like, okay, I'm going to do my job as their owner and take better care of them in terms of their grooming. And so I'll talk about kind of what happened on the back end later on, but I had to make that choice for her, right? Up a front. And then I also thought about, okay, well, my mother, she's been having a lot of digestive issues and a lot of neuropathy, a lot of inflammation. She's getting older. Her medication just kept getting upped and she was just getting worse. So I said, well, it's got to be the inflammation. Let's like clear out your diet. And I'm the sole person that does the chopping and the cooking. So I'm like, well, I kind of have to do it with her, right? So I kind of got taken along on the ride with her, and I wouldn't have done that for myself, even if I was struggling. But my why, and we'll talk about this later, was because I want my mom to be better, right? So I did it with her, for her, but I'm also reaping the benefits from it. And so when you make a conscious decision like that, you're shifting your frequency. And when you frequency always precedes form. And what I mean by that is in the beginning, like in the Bible, there was nothing but the word. The word is sound, and sound is a frequency. And then from the word came the formation of the worlds, right? And the heavens and the skies and everything. So it's so funny how everything kind of like rolls into one, but like I chose to make decisions and I didn't see them as things that like I was doing as like a check, choose, create reality type of thing, right? I was just living my life. So when she asked me to kind of come around to that thought, I had to really think about it. And I think that's true for a lot of people, right? Like we don't walk around every day, well, other than Tracee, because Tracee's awesome. But I don't walk around to, being like, okay, but what's my goal for today? And Tracee is, I'm gonna use you as an example, Tracee. You're about to finish this challenge. It was like a 75-day challenge or something. And she's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm 2 days away from finishing. And I'm so proud of her because I can't do anything for like 2 days straight. And here
Uh,
she's coming up on 75 days. So I don't know. I think it's really cool to look at it from that perspective. But I guess the only other thing I really wanted to say about that was you choose from your vision of the future because we look forward to the future and not from your mood, which goes back to your past, right? So your mood is something from like what you've previously experienced and you move forward based on your forward thinking vision. And to choose something good for yourself, even if it's hard in the beginning, that later on will be a good experience for you, I think is really important. I think that's where you were going with that, Trace.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. I like how you said that, Kelly. So, in getting this, as you know, we're going to have you choose something in your life, and it could be any type of a area of your life. Like we covered that wheel last time. But the things that we choose usually help us gain pleasure. Like that chocolate frosting tasted so good on my mother-in-law's cake, or avoid pain. So some things that we do, we don't do it because we know it's painful. Like I do not eat gluten because I know that the next day I will spend most of the time in the bathroom. Okay, TMI, I know, but I'm just like that. When you're a health coach, you talk about everything. So
Back.
so that's why I avoid the gluten thing, but I would eat the frosting off the entire cake if I could at that time, right? And your brain is always going to choose what's familiar because it's used to it. You get in this thing called a loop. It's like a pattern loop. And so once you start again, you like almost kick off this cycle. And it's like that surfer right there riding that wave. So we just need to put a block in that and do something else. And I'm going to show you how to do this with two different ways. But you want to break away from that familiar because you want to be able to consciously choose something different. So every moment that you have throughout your life, throughout your day, you are either reacting from this habit or you're responding with an intention. And that's what I was talking about earlier about going from compliance to commitment. And then long term, when you do things because you're committed to it, you will create pleasure down the road. And I'm going to share an example of that in just a minute. Kelly, do you want to talk about anything here?
Um, I guess the only thing I would really add to the wonderful things you're already saying is that while we can't always control, what comes towards us, we absolutely choose how we respond to those things. And those choices, right, are, I don't know, for lack of a better word, our frequency signature, right? Like the vibration that we're putting out into the world, the energy that we're putting out into the world, and we draw that energy then back to us. And
Mhm.
every response that you make either reinforces your old timeline or launches you into the next one, the one that you're projecting forward.
Ooh, well said, girl. That was awesome. And that leads me to this. So you get to choose everything you do, everything you don't do, and every way you respond to what is done to you. Whoopsie. I am a huge fan of Abraham Hicks, and I calibrate to her, well, them, I guess I should say, every day. I go take my walk and I tune in, tap in, and turn on and get calibrated and reminded because I've been following them for many years, probably 15 years, and I calibrate myself that way. And so I feel like that's a really good practice. So Kelly already kind of alluded to that one. So you always start each day and throughout the day, check-ins. And we covered that extensively last week. So my question to you is, you know, you're either growing or you're dying. Nothing in this earth is stagnant. It's like always vibrating and your frequency is always vibrating up or it can be vibrating down. But I love what Abraham says. And it's about when you are focused on what you want in your life, you are floating downstream with ease. But when you are focusing on what you don't want, you're paddling upstream and it's so much work. So the goal is to pivot faster. It's impossible to always float downstream because life happens, right? So right now, what I want you to do is drop back into your heart space if you left it and go ahead and look at your life. It could be health, it could be fitness, it could be your relationships, it could be your career path, it could be, just your lifestyle, your home life. Maybe your house needs to have some purging done, which, right, energetically clears the space. But just look inside and see what your spirit says right now that's really quick that you decide, okay, this is something I'm going to work on. This is an area of my life that could use some improvement. And remember, nobody's perfect, nobody's ever arrived. It's like a journey. You get excited about the journey of life. When you plan a vacation, you don't just say, oh, I'm only going to be happy when I get there. It's exciting, right? To decide and plan and pack your clothes and be on the airplane and knowing. So the joy is in the journey. So, and then what I'm going to ask you to do is go into the chat and type in what one habit, and we're going to work on how to do this, okay, together. But do you feel like will make your life better? And I shared three of mine that I went as examples, and Kelly shared three that she is working on. And we want to hear from you. And when we finish this material, it's going to be discussion time. Okay. So the way I like to do this is you either crowd something out or you add something in. And I'll go into detail on what that means, but just choose one at a time because then it doesn't get overwhelming. It's like the compound effect. When you layer healthier habits over time, all of a sudden things happen. It's like when I was a personal trainer, people would want instant results. We live in an instant gratification society, but things don't just happen like that, right? I mean, look at our improvements with the QT waves. I mean, it takes time to happen. And so I love how Cynthia says, do it with grace and ease. And it always starts here with loving yourself because you are worth it. You are worth that commitment. But then it becomes like a ritual, like brushing your teeth, right? Do you have to think about brushing your teeth? No, you don't. I hope not, at least, because that would be yucky. But so I'm going to challenge you guys. So I'm looking at those chat numbers chiming up. So go ahead. And one thing I used to say when I was a fitness instructor, your body can do it. It's your mind you must convince.
So true.
Do you want to add anything here, Cal?
The only thing that I really have noticed, even for myself, right? I'll make this grand decision to completely revamp my life, right? And I make that fatal error every single time, or at least I had in the past, where I try to change everything all at once. And it's a recipe for disaster, right? Over as I've gotten older and wiser, I've really learned that you can really only truly make lasting changes that are beneficial, right, over time when you do one thing, like you choose one thing to change, and you, like you just said, you do it ritually every day until it becomes a habit, and then it just becomes second nature and you don't even think about it anymore, right? At that point, then you make a different habit, right? But when you try to do 85 things all at once, none of those are going to work because it's too overwhelming. Your brain can't rationalize it, it can't conceptualize it, it can't turn that into a ritual. I don't know anybody, or there's very few people in history maybe that have completely redone their whole lives in that way and succeeded at that. So
Mhm.
that would be my only point of you know suggestion is take it easy. It's no race. You're not in competition with anybody else. You're on your own journey and embrace it for what it is.
Yep, that's right. And that's one thing I like about my workout gym is that, I'm the oldest one there that goes to my workout class that I do at CrossFit. And I don't lift as heavy as they do. I'm not as fast as they are. And I don't care because I look in the mirror and that's my only competition is just me. So well said. Okay, so this is something that I love. It's crowding it out. So when you remove something from your lifestyle, you create a void. And if you don't fill that void with intention, then the universe will fill it for you. And you never know what you will get. So a better way to do that is by crowding it out. So you replace a behavior with a better one. And the better one pushes out the one that you want to eliminate. So you want to focus on what you want to create and not the absence of it, right? So that's all in your own self-talk. And I'll show you some examples. And the other thing is the universe doesn't hear won't or not. So if you say, I will not eat sugar, the universe hears eat sugar. So you want to reframe your wording and your self-talk. And the other funny one is don't say I lost weight because then the universe will find it for you. So, right, we don't want that. So, what I used to tell my clients is that you released it or you let it go, things like that. Did you want to add, Kel?
Uh, for crying out, you know, I don't know. What could I add to that you didn't already say? I maybe that crowding out is like this really fun form of alchemy. I love exoteric kind of stuff, right? And it's like this magical recipe for turning something that you're avoiding into something that you're attracting. So you
Mm,
want to avoid like doing the things that are bad for you, right? And you want to attract the things that are good for you. And I just feel like crowding out is the magical way to transform, so you're not looking at it as something that you're going without, right? Because it's not necessarily that you even removed it. You're not saying, no, I can't ever do this again, but you're increasing the propensity for beneficial things that over time you're like, yeah, I like these things better than the bad things. So I don't need that anymore. I can let that go. It's like
mm.
tricking your mind into it. So it's like this weird alchemical magical type of trickery.
Yeah. And it's like that boomerang effect, it's like attracts like. And so when you have this high frequency lifestyle, you attract more high frequency behaviors and experiences.
For
So
sure.
so here's some examples. Okay, back to vulnerable Tracee. So I love chocolate. And I think many, many women do like chocolate. So when I decided that I was going to take out sugar, I found this protein powder. It's chocolate and it tastes amazing. And I mix it with yogurt. And I add some berries. So it's like a chocolate mousse and it gives me the same pleasure that like anything else chocolate would. And I also found these amazing protein bars that do the same thing. So instead of eating a candy bar, I eat a protein bar. That way I'm supporting my body. And with the walking, it's something I added in. So I didn't need to crowd out anything. I just needed to add it in. And this actually was because I was beating myself up because I don't meditate. And so, everybody seems at QHS to be a meditator, but I can't sit still long enough to meditate. So I do something called a moving meditation. And I thought, well, this is a really good way to, really align myself, ground myself, and be able to have this time that I spend in nature. And I literally talk to the birds, I talk to the cows, I talk to the dragonflies, and I always say, come on, come land on me. Because I actually have had birds do that. Like I've actually had a seagull come up to me at the beach and chew on my fingernails. And I've had birds on my back porch come up to me. So I just kind of tempt them every time I go out for a walk and try to pet the cows, like get close enough that they'll let me pet them. And then the alcohol, I crowded it out with non-alcoholic options. So there's this great wine that you can get in a single serving and it tastes like Prosecco, but there's no alcohol. So when I go to parties or I go to a restaurant, I bring a can and I just say, hey, can you bring me a wine glass? And they will. They're always accommodating. So I don't feel like I'm missing out or I'm not part of, the party. It works out really well for me. But if I just had to sit there and watch everybody else have wine and me just going, oh, I'm going to have water, it just doesn't feel as good to me. So I have a non-alcoholic wine that I love, and that's how I crowded that out. And Kelly?
Well, for me, it wasn't so much about necessarily crowding out bad things. For me, I'm really bad about following any kind of like routine. Like I'm one of those people like I want to be, the rebel and do my own thing, right? And I'm really forgetful because I'm always flitting from this to that, the other, right? So I'm like, well, how am I going to go about making these changes? Or how did I go about making these changes, right? So I know I'm really forgetful, but I wanted to be able to groom my dogs more. So I'm almost always here at my desk. So what did I do? I put their brush on my desk. So every time I'm sitting here, I see it. And when they walk in, I'm like, oh, I see a mat. Let me go over there and brush it out. So it's like that reminder. And for the elimination diet with my mom, I used ChatGPT to create menu plans and recipes and shopping lists. And I would do it every Monday. So I would just sort of set a reminder in my calendar to just go ahead and do it. And then I would, after I did it, I'd put my order into either Costco or wherever I was getting my food from, so that it was just done. It was like the easy button, right? And even for like increasing my own productivity at home, because I tend to, when you work from home, sometimes you forget like I have other things around the house I need to do, right? So just to find like some other task to do or whatever, right? So I would purposely take like half an hour out of my schedule, and I would, the night before, I'd make a list of like say 10 or 15 things that I need to get done, whatever it might be. And I'd put half an hour on my schedule, and when my little alarm would go off, I'd be like, oh, let me choose one of those. What can I get done in a half an hour? What do I feel like doing? What's going to make me happy to do in this moment, right? And so I was like finding I was getting more things done. So it was like um making the conscious decision to be more conscious about how I was going to do the things I wanted to change. And what's cool about that is that when your environment, right, the space that you're working in, whether it's the brush on my desk or the alarm going off on my phone or having the ChatGPT right there set up with the current plan on, loaded into there to make it easy, that environment aligns then with your intention, and then that change becomes effortless. And that friction that you were feeling before fades away because the coherence of the field that you're living in rises to match. And so
Mm.
you move from, well, that's who I was, to this is who I am now. And I just think that that's a really cool, like, I don't know, I felt like it was an epiphany for me.
That's so good, Kel. And you're right. I have a dress that it's on my kitchen table that I've been trying to sew for like 2 weeks. I need to do your increased productivity at home.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our material that we wanted to share with you guys today. And I'm going to address two more things and then I'm going to open it up for you guys, okay? So Cheryl was talking about the Chat GPT and what we were doing with the focus group. So this is a really fun project that you guys can do for yourselves. So you want to do ChatGPT, and many of the focus group members had a free version. And like Kira suggested, if you don't log in, you'll have more space. Like they will give you more opportunities to work with it. I do have a paid account. Many of us at QHS do because we use it a lot. So what you can do is upload your blood work. So I just had blood work done recently. And what I said is I just uploaded the PDF and I said, what practices can I do to improve these numbers? Now, of course, I wear my white device 24/7. Of course, I use the touch at least twice a day, sometimes more because I charge my water. And I always make sure when I'm charging my water, I'm right here in front of my computer. So it charges me too, right? So I love it. And it's just a great practice. And that's another thing that you guys may not know about charging water. So I have this glass container, it's a half a gallon, and I have two of them. So I'm always charging one and then putting one in the fridge. So all my water is charged. And then there was one more thing. Kelly mentioned my 75-day challenge. So I'm turning 60 next month. And so my real deep dive in myself and my own, like, okay, what can I do better? That started last November when I'm like, wow, I'm going to be 60 in a year. I need to tighten things up. So what am I
Yeah.
going to do? But, like I said earlier, if you're not growing, you're dying. And nobody has ever arrived. So we just want to work collectively at improving our life, one baby step at a time. Okay. So I see that there's like 98 woohoo messages in the chat of things that you guys have gone into your heart space and decided what you want to do. So we want to hear from you, and whoever feels like they want to share, we have 24 minutes of share time. Or if you have questions on the process of, choosing an area of your life or how to crowd things out or add things in. So go ahead and raise your digital hand and we will kick this fun part off. Hey, Lane, you're up, girl.
There we go. I put something out on chat because Marie and I traveled together recently. And I'm putting that I want she and I to have a challenge of holding each other accountable. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet, because what I said is make a study, a piano, and a cleaning thing as a schedule, or possibly I'm already doing the workouts 3 days a week at the gym. Maybe I need to do your hug videos in between that to do the stretches on the Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that's mine. And I'm a positive, so a diet for my blood type. That's what I want to do. Thank you.
Nice. Good job, girl. Choose one though, okay? Because literally, like Kelly was saying, if you choose too many things, it gets overwhelming and your brain is just like, what is she doing to me? So just choose one. And once it becomes a ritual, it may take a week, it may take a month, but then when you feel like, okay, this is easy, I got this, then you can choose something else, okay? Adelita, you're muted, sweetie.
Okay. With my thing is I love food, especially Mexican food. But since I've joined QHS, I've been trying really hard to deal with Mexican food. I don't eat it anymore like I used to. But the thing is sweets. I would go, my sister, she goes to Mexico and she gets those, pumpkin and all those sweet, that's got a lot of sugar. Um, um, there's several that she usually brings me, but I told her not to do that anymore. So I quit the sweets, and for something that's sweet for me, I end up doing trial mix, and I add like marshmallows, which that's to me it's a lot of sweet, but I add marshmallows to that, and that's my snack, and that's my sweet. Now the wine, I love wine. I like to eat dinner with it, you know, and I stopped doing that. Then I went to once a week on Friday nights. I would have my couple of glass of wine and watch a movie, and with cheese and crackers. That was my thing on Friday nights. Well, now I started thinking about, well, I shouldn't drink right now. So I stopped drinking. So now I do it, which I don't do very much, not going out and eating dinner, because I stopped doing that. But if I do go on a special occasion with my brother and my sister-in-law, I'll have one glass of wine, and that's all. Usually I don't drink wine. I used to not drinking it before. I used to just drink it a lot, but usually, you know, 3 or 4 glasses, and it really didn't. I didn't get, you know, high or anything like that. But I don't.
I've heard your stories, Adelita.
Well, that was alcohol. I stopped
So
drinking the alcohol.
what habit are you choosing? Or
The takeaway on food and takeaway on the wine. Drink less and eat less sugar, and that's all. I mean, that's mainly everything else. I've added on exercises. I listen to your videos. I listen to Dr. Gloria's nutrition food, and I do all those. I've copied every recipe that she has so far done,
good
and
job.
I do that.
So next week, you guys were on change. And so we're going to check in with you guys on the habits that you committed to yourself. I'm going to download the transcript from this to see what habits, because I think it's good for us to be able to support each other, right? And so, like Kelly said, I'm on a 75-day challenge. I did it alone, but it's so much easier when we have support. Right. I had people at the gym that knew I was doing the challenge. And so they're checking in with me and saying, hey, how's it going? What day are you on? Are you done yet? And it's really helpful to have that support because it lifts you up. It takes the bricks out of your backpack and it lifts you up and makes you feel better, you know? So, and Adelita, by the way, I eat Mexican food all the time. I love Mexican food, but there's ways that you can eat Mexican food that supports your body. And then there's ways that, don't support your body. So that's something we could talk about offline.
Okay.
Taco Bell is probably not the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk
I
about
love the cheese. I love the cheese.
Cheese isn't bad for you. Cheese is good for you. It's natural. I mean, think about in Indian culture, the dairy, the cows are like lifted up and so I do dairy. I do cheese, I do raw milk, I do sour cream, cottage cheese. So that, I mean, unless of course you have an intolerance to dairy, which that's
Well,
why Kelly mentioned the elimination diet that they did because we don't know what we don't know. And so
yeah.
sometimes we're feeling yucky, but it's caused by something. And that's why the QA app is going to be so great because it's going to give you an alert and it's going to go, okay, Adelita, like it's like you'll know. I can't wait till that comes out because you'll know what's supporting you and what's not. It's
Well, I was eating a lot of the uh, yellow cheese or the orange cheese or whatever color it is. But my son, since he's a firefighter, he's always telling me what I can and cannot eat. And he says that the yellow cheese is it's got so much dye in it that he says just think on the pepper jack on the white cheese. So that's what I've been eating is the pepper jack. So that I eat a lot of that. I snack on a lot lot. Of course,
good.
if I had the glass of wine with it, it'd be for better. But I
You're
kind
so
of cut down
funny.
on the wine.
Good job. So just so you guys know, the one I found that I really like is called Shirley, Surely, and literally like it's only 30 calories. It tastes good. It comes in an individual serving, so you can just have one and okay, Glenn. I'm trying to ask you to unmute, sweetie. Okay, while you're figuring that out, I'm gonna go to Kat.
All right, congratulations, Tracee, on your 73 days. I was asked by God 13 years and about 2.5 weeks ago to say, you know what, you don't really need to drink anymore. So I said, okay. And I listened and I said, yes. So I haven't had drinks since 2012 in the third weekend in September. So that's been a really powerful thing because I've never missed any of the alcohol ever. And so if anybody needs help on stopping, it is truly simply a choice that you make. There is nothing more complicated about it. It is just a choice, and it's a powerful choice because I don't know if I would have had problems someday or whatever, but I just know when I was asked by God, would you please stop drinking? I said, sure, let's do it. As long as you're asking, I might as well do it. But what I'm going to be working on this week.
Glenn, I'm muting you for now. I'll call on you next because there's a reverb. Okay, sweetie? So we'll go next.
So what I'm going to work on is like a lot of times I'll get done watching a movie or if I'm working in my art studio and doing, all kinds of stuff all day and I'll say, oh, 10 o'clock, I think maybe I should just go up. And I'm thinking to myself, I'll read, I'll do some stuff, maybe I'll do a facial, maybe I'll do some meditation, whatever. And I think, well, I just have to be in bed and sleep by midnight. And I always push myself because it's just before midnight. So now I'm committing to being asleep by or before 11 p.m.
Good job.
And I like that. Yeah.
And you know what? There's a truth about this, okay? That the earlier, like in the past, they woke up with the sunrise, they went to bed with the sun down, but your deep sleep is your healing sleep, and you get it earlier in the evening. And so, when you go to sleep earlier, like you're saying, you're going to get more deep sleep. So that's a really good one. Good job. Thank you, sweetie. Okay,
I'm
Glenn,
committed.
now you can unmute again.
Committed.
Okay. You hear me?
Yep,
Hello?
I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay. First of all, when you're talking, don't forget. Because sometimes mind forgets. Right?
I'm not anything.
So you don't want
Yeah,
to
Glenn, we can't hear you. You're going in and out like you're rubber banding. So can you type it in the chat what you're trying to say, please? I'm sorry. It must be bad internet connection.
Yeah.
Go ahead and type it in the chat and we can read it, okay? Arya?
Hey, so mine was simple, but I think it packs a punch. I wrote that I choose to love my whole self.
Aw.
So what I realized is that, I can pick and choose all these things. I can pick and choose to exercise, to eat better, to be aligned with my true self, which, is all a given, right? And when I thought about it, I realized I'm like, well, why not just love my true self and then everything else will flow into place. Everything else will basically align and fall into place because by loving myself, by loving my whole self in every aspect and every level of myself on every level of existence, brings me to alignment with my truth and my essence and who I am. So embracing that love and nurturing myself on every single level allows me to get into that space. And so by loving myself, I automatically eat better. I automatically treat myself better. I automatically want to keep my space clean and exercise and do all these things. So by doing that, it kind of almost bypasses all of those other little steps it's almost like a loophole in a sense. So, but that's the other thing too, is that if you can do that, great, do it. But if you need to do the other little steps first, that's totally okay too, because I've been there as well and I've done that. But now I'm at this point where I can just come to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to love myself and then just go from there. So
That's my mantra in yoga. When we go to yoga, they always say set an intention, and it's love myself the way I am right here, right now. And so I always also ask my astral body and my physical body to dance while I'm doing my yoga. So it's become more of a spiritual practice and not just a movement. And then I'll be like halfway through and I'll check in. Okay, are you guys dancing? I
Aw.
love that you said that. And it's also, that was my very first hug video, was about loving yourself. And because you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you don't fill up your own personal love cup up first, then how are you going to serve others? Right? So very good, Aria. Thank you. Okay, we have three more and we will wrap up on time. Woo! Okay, Susan,
Hey, it's not plowing. Oh, really?
you're
Oh,
up.
really?
You're on.
Okay. I said, wouldn't love me on mute? Um, yes, I finally this year have conquered giving away 15 pounds, and I'm working on 10 more.
Woohoo!
However, my challenge has been the exercise steadily. I live on 5 acres, and I'm the only one that's here to take care of it. So I walk a lot, I move a lot, I load my own wood, I do all those things, but I don't do it consistent. I really need to walk for an hour. I really need to walk for an hour. And so this is going to be my commitment
Okay,
for
so
this.
who said you need to walk for an hour? Is that your
I
own?
said,
You
that's
decided? Okay.
me.
Okay, good. All right, I like
Well,
that
now,
commitment.
there's, now we're coming up into the more wintry months. Have you ever considered going on even YouTube for free and doing like what are they, the walk away the pounds ones or whatever? Like, you can get those for free now too, right? And you only need like a little square,
Oh,
like two.
yes.
Yeah,
Same way I was doing Tai Chi that way. And
Oh,
that
yeah.
was that was really, really good. I have videos. And I can do that at home. I don't need to be out in the rain and the snow and what have
Right,
you to walk.
right. Yeah.
yeah. Good job, girl. Movement is medicine.
Yes.
Motion is lotion for the joints. So the more we move, the better that we will feel. And even my husband, he's 67. And when he would come home from work and be tired, he always goes and does either a mountain bike ride or he lifts weights in the garage because he knows that after he'll feel better. So maybe at that moment he's tired and he's like, oh, I don't feel like it. But he always knows that he'll feel better. So awesome possum. Okay, Cheryl, you're muted, sweetie.
I did
There you
it.
go.
There
You're
you go. Okay, so I jumping on your first one, the sugar, and I've kind of always felt like I just couldn't really fully eliminate sugar from my diet. And maybe it's because I've got Venus on the ascendant, you know, I was born that way. But anyway, I love something a bit sweet, whether it's jam on toast when I'm done with coffee at breakfast. You know, even I eat really well. I eat eggs, lots of eggs, and you know, it's really balanced, but it's almost like so challenging to give up this little bit of sugar in the morning.
What if, and I'll tell you, they've done studies. Do you know that sugar is more addictive than cocaine?
for
I
sure.
don't doubt it. I totally believe that.
And it lights up your brain like a pinball machine. So that's why when I was eating sugar, I was always in that loop, you know? Oh, that tastes good. I want a little more. That tastes good. But what I actually found is you can get jam that is just pure fruit with no added sugar, and it tastes really good. So perhaps that you crowd out the sugar-filled jam with a jam that's just pure fruit, that's no added sugar, and it gives you that same pleasure. I found one with chia seeds that's amazing, and they sell it at the regular grocery store. So maybe you can try that one.
That
Oh,
sounds really
fine.
good.
Do you know what the brand is?
Send me a message and
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
figure that out and
I
send
want
it to you.
your wine substitute too, if you could put it in the chat even.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually really good. Shirley NA. And I get the brute. Okay.
And you know, and Andrea just posted in the chat that fructose is the most natural form of sugar that you get in the fruit. You know, and you know, for people who follow like a keto lifestyle, they're like, oh, I don't even want to do fruit, right? Especially fructose, like things high in fructose, like bananas and things like that, because kind of what happens is it goes straight to your liver and it just goes right to fat. Like you don't really burn it off, right? But what we're kind of saying is like don't be afraid to crowd out the bad sugar with the good sugar, right? Like even in that you have vitamins and minerals and nutrients and fiber and stuff that God intended for us to have. So if you're gonna have sugar, at least have the good sugar, like Andrea is saying, right? Like even if it's fructose, don't be afraid.
Yeah, an apple. Do you know how sweet an apple is? Like, it's apple season. I crave apples in the fall. We have apple trees, but the apples are so delicious. And that is a perfect treat. I mean, for me. So you can try that. So, and the other thing is you want to be aware of your body's response, which is why the QA app is going to be so amazing because we're bio individual and you know what works for me may not work for you and vice versa. So the QA app will tell us how we're responding to, you know, stress and foods and you know, hydration is super important. I drink a gallon of water a day and I do electrolytes twice a day. So that is all part of it. Okay, Judy. There you go. Oh, you muted yourself again.
There you go.
There you
Okay.
go.
I don't have an issue with food and elimination and stuff like that. And I mean, I've eliminated alcohol years ago. Sugar, I don't have sugar. I don't even have like any allopathic drugs or anything. I use other stuff like that. My problem is probably more exercise because I got out of the habit of it when I broke my arms and things and I couldn't do what I was doing. I kind of got out of the habit and I haven't been able to get back into the habit. And also we've been through winter with terrible, lots of rain and wind and what have you. So it hasn't really encouraged me to go out more. So that's what I have to make myself do.
Awesome. And like they were saying, I'll put the recipe in the chat, Holly. Like they were saying, is that you can work out on YouTube videos. I made a whole bunch for you guys to use. You know, even for people who can't like stand up, I did a whole series of chair videos. so
Yeah.
that they can work out in the chair. I know that you can get up. And I'm going to tell you guys something. So in the middle of my challenge about 3.5 weeks ago, I crashed my mountain bike coming down the hill. And here I was like on day 50 of my 75-day challenge. And I'm like, I can't stop. I had road rash, like I couldn't bend my arm because I had road rash all here. My knee was super swollen and I had road rash all over my leg. And but I was like, okay, you can have results or you can have excuses. And I could have just said, oh, well, can't finish the challenge. But I thought, no, there are things I can do. So I went to the gym the next morning because that's my routine, never miss a Monday. And I told my trainer what was going on. And he said, okay, instead of doing squats like the class was, because I couldn't bend my knee, I did something else. I did RDLs, straight legged deadlifts. But and I just kept working my way through the healing process and I was able to keep going. But and to me, once if I was sidelined, like you said, Judy, it would have been really hard for me to get back into my routine. So I totally hear what you're saying. But that's what I love about YouTube is that there's so many different videos that you can find to help. And during COVID, my gym closed. So I had to work out at home every day and I found a way to do it. So what is it? There's a great quote. We're almost wrapping up, but I'm going to end this with you guys. If you really want something, you will find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. And we always find time to do the things that are the most important to us.
Yep.
So we all have the same 24 hours, and there's no judgment here because I love you all, but it's more encouragement. That's why we want to dig deep into our heart space and decide what we really want, and then we will find a way, So
Yeah.
awesome.
I would
Thank
like to get rid of my loose bits like you have.
Oh.
Because they do get looser as you get older.
Fall out of
I
loop,
hear
babe.
you. That skin, I mean, I had a 9.94 baby and another 9-pounder. So I'm like, this loose skin is part of it, but we have the QR coming. So
I don't have excuses, but I got loose bits.
I know I love that term, huh? Loose bits. Yeah. One of my friends says, this is my twin skin because she had twins. So awesome. And we can do this together. Okay, Aria, you want to wrap us up?
Thank you. Just two quick things. One is that I sat and was thinking, I'm like, I don't know why it didn't work. Like I would say, okay, I'm gonna exercise, or oh, I'm gonna stop eating sugar, I'm gonna do this or that. And it never really worked for me. Probably because at that point I never really loved myself fully. And so I didn't have the motivation or the dedication or even the discipline to sit with it because I just felt like crap, consistently. So I never had that like motivation to do it, even if I had a why. There's no love in it. So the other thing that I thought about too is that when I do choose something, I notice that choice doesn't simply just do it. I have to be willing to receive what I choose. So when I do make a choice, when I say, okay, I'm going to do this, I then choose to receive it and actually make the choice to say, okay, I'm going to make the choice. I'm going to do this. And then I let myself have it. I actually receive it. I actually choose to be in a receptive position where I actually can say, okay, I'm going to now receive the benefits of, exercising. I'm going to allow myself to be happy exercising or cleaning out the garage or stop eating sugar and doing all this stuff. So receptivity is a really, really huge part whenever I've decided and committed to something of making a choice. So.
And that's God spark, right? Vision, intention, and action. So you set your vision, and we've talked a lot about vision before. And then your intention is actually your plan. And then the action is you actually doing your plan. So that is actually a really good point that you said that. And so when you looked at your habit, through your heart space, then that is how you're going to actually accomplish it. And we'll be back in a month or in 4 weeks. And we will work on that together and we will do a check-in. And if you guys want to send me a private message on Telegram, please do. I check them regularly. It's funny, I don't go in groups as much, but I'm always checking for private messages. And if you haven't done your prequel, please do your prequel, okay? My handle at Telegram is at Coach Tracee. So you can send me a message. And we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So go ahead and rub your hands again together. I want to thank you all for being here. Okay. Pull apart like taffy. Feel the energy that you just created. All right. And bring it back to Anjali Mudra, prayer pose. And bring it up to your forehead. May we think only happy thoughts to your lips. May we speak only kind words and to your heart. May we show love to ourselves and to all of those around us. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Sending you guys so much love. And we love seeing your faces. We love hearing your voices. Know that you are seen, you are heard, and you are safe. Oh, Kira.
Here, go ahead. You're muted. Oh,
I didn't mean to raise my hand. I think it went up when we were doing our mudras.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, you guys. Love to you all. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.